Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's reading from Sri Caitanya Charitamrit. We will be reading from the second chapter of the Madhya Lila, the ecstatic manifestations of Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu. In the second chapter of Madhya Lila, the author describes the pastimes the Lord performed. Ukam Karoti Vachalam, Pangum Langayate Girim, Yat Kripa Tamam Bande, Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhvam, Sri Caitanya Ishwaram. In the second chapter of Madhya Lila, the author describes the pastimes the Lord performed during the last 12 years of his life. Thus, he has also described some of the pastimes of the Antya-lila. Why he has done so is very difficult for an ordinary person to understand. The author expects that reading the pastimes of the Lord will gradually help a person awaken his dormant love of Krishna. Actually, this Caitanya Charitamrit was compiled by the author during very old age. Fearing he might not be able to finish the book, he has included a synopsis of the Antya-lila here in the second chapter. Srila Kaviraj Goswami has confirmed that the opinion of Swarup Damodar is authoritative in the matter of devotional service. Over and above these are the notes of Swarup Damodar memorized by Raghunath Das Goswami, who have also helped in the compilation of the Caitanya Charitamrit. After disappearance of Swarup Damodar Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami went to Vrindavan. At that time, the author Srila Kaviraj Goswami met Raghunath Das Goswami, by whose mercy he also could memorize all the notes. In this way, the author was able to complete this transcendental literature, Sri Caitanya Charitamrit. So, first verse is Vicheda Asmin Prabhur Ante Lila Sutra Nuvarnane Gaurasya Krishna Vicheda Pralapadi Anuvarnyate. While relating in synopsis form the last division of the pastimes of Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu, in this chapter I shall describe the Lord's transcendental ecstasy, which appears like madness due to his separation from Krishna. Purport: in this second chapter, the activities of Lord Caitanya that took place after Lord accepted sannyas are generally described. Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu is specifically mentioned here as being Gora or of fair complexion. Krishna is generally known to be blackish, but when he is absorbed in the thought of the gopis, who are all of fair complexion, Krishna himself also becomes fair. Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu in particular felt separation from Krishna very deeply, exactly like a lover who is dejected in separation from the beloved. Such feelings, which were expressed by Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu for nearly 12 years at the end of his pastimes, are described in brief in the second chapter of Madhya Lila. Verse number 2, Jai Jai Sri Caitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Dvaita Chandra, Jai Gaur Bhakt Vrinda. All glories to Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to all the devotees of the Lord. Verse number 3, Shesha Ye Rahila Prabhura Dvadasha Vatsara Krishnera Viyog Sfurti Hai Nirantara. During his last 12 years, Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu always manifested all the symptoms of ecstasy in separation from Krishna. Text number 4, Shri Radhikar Cheshta Yena Uddhav Darshane E Mata Das Dasha Prabhura Haya Ratri Dine. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's state of mind day and night was practically identical to Radharani's state of mind when Uddhav came to Vrindavan to see the gopis. Text number 5, Nirantar Haya Prabhura Viraha Unmad Brahma Maya Cheshta Sada Pralap Maya Vad. The Lord constantly exhibited a state of mind reflecting the badness of separation. All his activities were based on forgetfulness, and his talks were always based on madness. Verse number 6. Roma kupe rakto gama danta sabahale kshane anga kshina haya kshane anga fule. Blood flowed through from all the pores of his body, and all his teeth were loosened. At one moment his whole body became slender, and at another moment his whole body became fat. Verse number 7. Gambhira bhitare ratre nahi nidra lava bhitte bhitte mukha kshira ghase kshata hai sabha. The small room behind the corridor is called the Gambhira. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to stay in that room, but he did not sleep for a moment. All night he used to grind his mouth and head on the wall, and his face sustained injuries all over. Verse number 8. Teen dware kapat prabhu yayane bahire kabhu simha dware pade kabhu sindhu nire. Although the three doors of the house were always closed, the Lord would nonetheless go out and sometimes would be found at the Jagannath temple before the gate known as Simhadwar, and sometimes the Lord would fall flat into the sea. Verse number 9. Chatak Pravat Dekhi Govardhana Brahme Dhana Chale Artanad Kariya Krandane. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would also run very fast across the sand dunes, mistaking them for Govardhan. As he ran, he would wail and cry loudly. Purport: because of the winds of the sea, sometimes the sand would form dunes. Such sand dunes are called Chatak Parvat. Instead of seeing these and dunes simply as hills of sand, the Lord would take them to be Govardhan Hill. Sometimes he would run towards these dunes at high speed, crying very loudly, expressing the state of mind exhibited by Radharani. Thus Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was absorbed in thoughts of Krishna and his pastimes. His state of mind brought him the atmosphere of Vrindavan and Govardhan Hill, and thus he enjoyed the transcendental bliss of separation and meeting. Verse number 10. Upavanyo dhyan dekhi Vrindavan jnana tahan yai nache gaye kshane murcha yana. Sometimes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mistook the small parks of the city for Vrindavan. Sometimes he would go there, dance and chant, and sometimes fall unconscious in spiritual ecstasy. Text number 11. Kaha nahi shuni ye bhavera vikar, ye bhav haya prabhura sharire prachar. The extraordinary transformation of the body due to transcendental feelings would never have been possible for anyone but the Lord, in whose body all transformations were manifest. Purport: the ecstatic transformations of the body described in such exalted literatures as the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu are practically not seen in this material world. However, these symptoms were perfectly present in the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. These symptoms are indicative of Mahabhav, or the highest ecstasy. Sometimes Sahajiyas artificially imitate these symptoms, but experienced devotees reject such imitations immediately. The author admits herein that these symptoms are not to be found anywhere but in the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse number 12. Hasta padera sandhi sabha vitasti pramane sandhi chhadi bhinna hai charma rahe sthane. The joints of his hands and legs would sometimes become separated by 8 inches, and they remain connected only by the skin. Text number 13. Hasta pada shira sabha sharira bhitare pravishta haya kurma rupa dekhiye prabhure. Sometimes Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's hands, legs and head would all enter within his body, just like the withdrawn limbs of a tortoise. Verse number 14. Emata adbhuta bhava sharire prakasha manite shunyata vakya haha hutasha. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to manifest wonderful ecstatic symptoms. His mind appeared vacant, and there were only hopelessness and disappointment in his words. Verse number 15. Kaha mora prananath murali vadana kahan karo kaha pan Vrajendra Nandana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to express his mind in this way. Where is the Lord of my life, who is playing this flute? What shall I do now? Where should I go to find the son of Maharaj Nanda? Verse number 16. Kahare kahiba keba jane mora dukha, Vrajendra Nandan vinu phate mora bhuka. To whom should I speak? Who can understand my disappointment? Without the son of Nanda Maharaj, my heart is broken. Verse number 17. Mata vilap kare vihvala antara raira nataka shloka pade nirantar. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always expressed bewilderment and lamented in separation from Krishna. At such times, he used to recite the shlokas from Ramananda Rai's drama known as Jagannath Vallabh Natak. Verse number 18. Prema cheda rujo avagachati harir nayam nacha prema va sthana sthanam aveti napi madano janati no durlabha anyo veda na chanya dukham akhilam no jivanam vasharvam dvitrani eva dinani yauvanam idam haha vidheka gati. Srimati Radharani used to lament our Krishna does not realize that we have suffered from injuries inflicted in the course of loving affairs. We are actually misused by love because love does not know where to strike and where not to strike. Even Cupid does not know our very much weakened condition. What shall I tell anyone? No one can understand another's difficulties. Our life is actually not under our control, for youth will remain for 2 or 3 days and soon be finished. In this condition, O Creator, what will be our destination? Purport: this verse is from the Jagannath Vallabh Natak 3.9 of Ramananda Rai. Verse number 19. Upajila premankura bhangila ye dukha pura Krishna taha nahi kare pan bahire nagar raja bhitare stha Shathera Kaj Paran Nari Vadhe Savadhan. Srimati Radharani spoke thus in distress due to separation from Krishna. Oh, what shall I do of my distress? What shall I say of my distress? After I met Krishna, my loving propensity sprouted, but soon upon separating from him, I sustained a great shock, which is now continuing like the sufferings of a disease. The only physician for this disease is Krishna himself, but he is not taking care of his sprouting plant of devotional service. What can I say about the behavior of Krishna? Outwardly, he is very attractive young lover, but at heart he is a great cheat, very expert in killing others' wives. Text number 20. Sakhi hai naam bujiye vidhira vidhan Sukha lagi kailun prita haila dukha viparita ebe yae na rahe parana. Srimati Radharani continued lamenting about the consequences of loving Krishna. My dear friend, I do not understand the regulative principles given by the Creator. I love Krishna for happiness, but the result was just the opposite. I am now in an ocean of distress. It must be that now I am going to die. My vital force no longer remains. This is my state of mind. Text number 21. Kutila prema agyena nahi jane sthana sthana bhal mand nare vicharite krura shathera gunadore hate gale bandhi more rakhiyache nari ukashite. By nature, loving affairs are very crooked. They are not entered with sufficient knowledge, nor do they consider whether a place is suitable or not, nor do they look forward to the results. By the ropes of his good qualities, Krishna, who is so unkind, has bound my neck and hands. and I am unable to get relief. Verse number 22. Ye madana tanu hina paradrohe pravina pancha ban sandhe anukshana abalar sharire vindhi kaila jara jare dukha deya na laya jivana. In my loving affairs, there is a person named Madan. His qualities are thus: personally, he possesses no gross body, yet he is very expert in giving pains to others. He has 5 arrows and fixing them on his bow. He shoots them into the bodies of innocent women. Thus these women become invalids. It would be better if he took my life without hesitation, but he does not like to do so. He simply gives me pain. Verse number 23. Anyera ye dukha mane anye taha nahi jane satya ei shastrera vichare anya jana kaha likhi na janiye pran sakhi yate kahe daya dari bare. In the scriptures, it is said that one person can never know the unhappiness in the mind of another. Therefore, what can I say of my dear friends, Lalita and the others? Nor can they understand the unhappiness within me. They simply try to console me repeatedly, saying, "Dear friend, be patient." Verse number 24. Krishna Kripa Paravar Kabhu Karibena Angikar Sakhi Tora Ye Vyartha Vachana Jivera Jivana Chanchala Yena Padma Patrera Jala Tata Dina Jive Kon Jana. I say, my dear friends, you are asking me to be patient, that Krishna is an ocean of mercy, and that sometime in the future he will accept me. However, I must say that this will not console me. A living entity's life is very flickering. It is like water on the leaf of a lotus flower. Who will live long enough to expect Krishna's mercy? Verse number 25. Shata Vatsara Paryanta Jivera Jivan Anta E Vakya Kahana Vichari Narira Yovana Dhana Yare Krishna Kare Mana Se Yovana Dina Dui Chari. A human being does not live more than 100 years. You should also consider that the youthfulness of a woman, which is only attraction for Krishna, remains for only a few days. Verse 26. Agni yaiche nija dhama dekhaiya abhiram patan gire Akarshiya Mare Krishna Aiche Nijaguna Dekhaiya Hare Mana Pache Dukha Samudrete Dare. If you say that Krishna is an ocean of transcendental qualities and therefore must be merciful someday, I can say that he is like a fire which attracts moths by its dazzling brightness and kills them. Such are the qualities of Krishna. By showing us his transcendental qualities, he attracts our minds, and then later, by separating from us, he drowns in an ocean of unhappiness. Verse number 27. Etika vilapakari vishade shri gorahari ughadiya dukhera kapata bhavera taranga bale Nana Rupe Mana Chale Ar Eka Shloka Kaila Patha. In this way, Lord Chaitanya Mahāprabhu lamented in a great ocean of sadness, and thus he opened the doors of his unhappiness. Forced by the waves of ecstasy, his mind wandered over transcendental mellows, and he recited another verse as follows. Text number 28. Shri Krishna Rupadi Nishevanam Vina Vyarthani Me Hani Akhilendriyani Ahani Akhilendriyani Alam Pashan Shushkendhana Bharakanya aho bibharni vatani katham hata traptaha. My dear friends, unless I serve the transcendental qualities, form and pastimes of Sri Krishna, all my days and all my senses will become entirely useless. Now I am uselessly bearing the burden of my senses, which are like stone blocks and dried wool. I do not know how long I will be able to continue without shame. Verse number 29. Vamshi Ganamamrita Dhama Lavanyamrita Janmasthan Yena Dekhe Se नैना रहे की कारण से नयने की बा का वंशी गणमात्रा धाम लावण्यामृता जन्मस्थान ये न देखे से चांद वदन से नयने की बा काज पादुका तार मुंडे वाज से नयना रही की तराना. Of what use are the eyes of one who does not see the face of Krishna, which resembles the moon and its birthplace of beauty and reservoir of nectarian songs of his flute? Oh, let thunderbolt strikes his head. Why does he keep such eyes? Purport: the moon-like face of Krishna is the reservoir of nectarian songs and the abode of his flute. It is also the root of all bodily beauty. The gopis think that if their eyes are not engaged in seeing the beautiful face of Krishna, what would be better for them to? Beauty and reservoir of the nectarian songs of the moon-like face of Krishna is the reservoir of nectarian songs and the abode of his flute. It is also the root of all bodily beauty. The gopis think that if their eyes are not engaged in seeing the beautiful face of Krishna, it would be better for them to be struck by a thunderbolt. For the gopis, to see anything but Krishna is uninteresting and indeed detestable. The gopis are never pleased to see anything but Krishna. The only solace for their eyes is the beautiful moon-like face of Krishna, the worshipable object of all senses. When they cannot see the beautiful face of Krishna, they actually see everything as vacant and they desire to be struck by a thunderbolt. They do not find any reason to maintain their eyes when they are bereft of a beautiful beauty of Krishna. Verse number 30. Sakhi he shuna mora hat vidhi bale mora chap vapu chitta mana shakala indriya gana Krishna vinu shakala vifala. My dear friends, please hear me. I have lost all providential strength. Without Krishna, my body, consciousness and mind as well as my senses are useless. Verse number 31. Krishnera madhuravani amritera tarangini tara pravesh nahi yasravane kana kadi chidra samajaya se jana se sarvana tara janma haina akarane. Topics about Krishna are like the waves of nectar. If such nectar does not enter one's ears, the ear is no better than the whole of a damaged conch shell. Such an ear is created for no purpose. The connection, the Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur quotes the following verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3, 17 to 24. Ayur harati vai pumsam udyan astam cha yan asau tasyarte yat kshao nita uttama. Uttama shloka vartaya. Taravaha kim na jivanni bhastaraha kim na shashvaniti uta na kai. Okay, moving on to next verse. Na khadanti na mehanti kim grame pashava pare swavida varahostra bhari samstutah purusha jivana purusha pausha na yat karna patho petu jatu nama gadagaja Bile Bhattorukrama Vikramane ye na Shivantah Karnapute Narasya Jivasti Didruduri Keva Sutta na Kapat Kapagayati Ugya. Okay. Bhara Parampatta Kirita Jushtam Api Uttamangam na Namen Mukundam Shavau Karo Nakurute Saparyam Hare Lasat Kanchan Kankanava Barhaite Te Naine Narnam Langi Lingani Vishnurna Nirikshto Ye Padav Nrinam Tau Druma Gyanam Janma Bhajau Kshetrani Nanu Varjato Hareriyo Jivani Chavo Bhagvatangiri Najatu Martyo Billa Bheta Yastu Shri Vishnu Padya Manujas Tulasya Swashan Najatu Mrityu Pila Bheta Yastu Shri Vishnu Padya Manujas Tulasya Shwasan Chavo Yastu Na Veda Gandham Tad Ashma Saram Hridayam Bhatedam Yad Griha Maner Hari Namadhye Na Vikriyet Tath Yada Vikaro मेरे जन्म न विक्रिये तथा यदा विकारो नेत्रे जलम गात्रे रूहेषु हर्षः. Both by rising and setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone except one who utilizes the time by discussing all topics of Lord of the all-good personality of Godhead. Do the trees not live? Do the bellows of the blacksmith not breathe? All round us, do the beasts not eat and discharge semen? Men who are like dogs, hogs, and camels and asses. Praise those men who never listen to a transcendental pastime of Lord Krishna. The deliverer from evils, one who has not listened to the messages about prowess and marvelous acts of the personality of Godhead and has not sung or chanted loudly the worthy songs about the Lord should be considered to possess ears like the holes of a snake and tongue like that of a frog. The upper portion of a body, though crowned with the silk turban, is only heavy burden if not bowed down before the personality of Godhead, who can award mukti or freedom, and the hands, though decorated with glittering bangles, are of those of a dead man, if not managed in the service of personality of Godhead. though decorated with glittering bangles, are like those of a dead man if not engaged in the service of the personality of God. Hail Hari, the eyes which do not look at the symbolic representation of one's beauty. One's beauty, I've lost it. Though decorated with glittering bangles, are like those of a dead man if not engaged in service of personality of Godhead Hari. The eyes which do not look at the symbolic representations of the personality of Godhead Vishnu, his forms, names and qualities, etc. are like those printed on the plumes of a peacock, and the legs which do not move to the holy places where the Lord is remembered are considered to be like tree trunks. The person who has not at any time received upon his head the dust from the feet of a pure devotee of the Lord is certainly a dead body, and the person who has never experienced the flavor of the tulsi leaves from the lotus feet of the Lord is also a dead body, although breathing. Certainly the heart is steel framed, which in spite of one's chanting the holy name of the Lord with concentration does not change and feel ecstasy, at which time tears fill the eyes and the hairs stand on end. So we'll continue our reading from verse 32 of second chapter of Madhya the next times. Thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.